Put your ego aside and start studying. Start researching for yourself. Don't accept what I'm saying. Make it your own.
Our teacher Asha asked me to share this. Her comment is that in Hindustan, they were burning straw, claiming there were dead bodies. There wasn't. The reporters or actors were given orders to say that it's all symbolic. The 99-year lease is up. The Ottoman Empire is back, but they need you dumb and entertained. Yes. So you lose out on reclaiming your empire.
Yes. And this is why you will see that reflected with the IRS lease of 99 years being terminated a couple years ago, which is also why Donald Trump, by virtue of dealing with the bankruptcy of their private foreign de facto corporation, pulled the IRS of the Circle Church and Chancery into the defunct U.S. Treasury to cause them to issue more of their bottomry instruments that they've been using to devour nations into the what would call the currency, not monetary, currency system of estate trade that caused them to go bankrupt in order to help in the process of dismantling the Piscean Age priesthood who have been the demons of the planet. That's a fact. So you need to understand why I told you a couple of years ago that Donald Trump is assigned. I'm not supporting Donald Trump. I'm just telling you they're battling over your estate.
Mr. T.
Yeah, well, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what that's about.
We don't want to trigger them.
And it's not just him. He's the face. But it's more, it's sort of like a lot of truths will not be accepted from the people coming from the direct heirs. So therefore, some things will be done via the hybrids. And like Prophet Noble said, I'm going to make the Europeans tell you the truth. Now that the middle class has been dissolved, they can't blame somebody else. Oh, the Mexicans are taking American jobs, and these foreigners from Nicaragua and Guatemala and from South America is crossing the border of America and stealing Americans. They can't play that game no more.
So Americans are coming into America.
Americans is just coming to other parts of their house. Thank you very much. Message to all. So you see, the hybrids are still fighting over our state. And the Ottoman Empire is the last vestige of the Moorish Empire. And all of the agreements of operating at the Maghreb have been what you call, not only by virtue of the time cycle expired, but by virtue of violation of all treaties have been terminated. Therefore, the U.S. is broke because it wasn't their estate in the first place, and it isn't now. However, those of you who are direct heirs of the estate must come into this new order, not the new world order, but the order of the Christ age, morally and ethically armored to do justice. Thank you very much. And this is why one of the philosophical codes that the illustrious prophet Noble left for us, why he said Jesus means justice. You must know that's not an etymological definition. That is a sociological, ethereal definition. Study that carefully.
Here's a question from Noble Teresa L. Will the superconscious mind, with the superconscious mind, is that how we will distinguish who has had the V? Because I can't help but wonder how that whole situation is going to play out.
This is where the Septuaginta and the Bible, which is actually Berber origin, expresses in the revealing of things, or in Revelation, where you will have within yourself, not from some outside extraneous point of information, but from your pineal and from your superconscious mind, the capacity to separate the wheat from the chaff. That's what that means. That means the activation of the superconscious mind. You'll need no outside guide, for the guide or the God or the government ordinance of divinity is within. And that's where you have the trinity connection of the electrical system of the cranial brain, the heart brain, and the stomach gut brain. Cognitively operative, because it's in you. Thank you very much.
Here's a comment from Derwin Hunt. This is the reason we need you, Parisha means you, Granshi, so desperately is because the true understanding is the study of words. Your knowledge of words is priceless. Thank you for your presence, and it's written presence like a gift.
Well, it is, you know, how the Septuagint says, every man, the time has come that every man, every woman, every child must confess their own and worship under their own vine and fig tree. That means the restoration or the reversion of your lost estate to be cognitively known, comprehended, understood, and overstood by you, not because someone else needs to tell you, because it's divinely your own, i.e., the meek shall inherit Midgard, earth. Thank you very much.
Someone asked a question if you were aware of Set Atlantis L. Are you aware of Russell J. Gold? And what is his role as it pertains to us Moors?
Present, because on the immediate, no.
He's
so
saying he's
present some information, some support footnotes.
Postmaster, he says,
Mark.
It's not Mark.
It's like that nature. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I was had a conversation with a scholar earlier today, a very honored scholar, who's very, very knowledgeable about the true operations of civilization and culture on the land. And one of the things that she and I was discussing was the fact that many and much of the conversations who are coming from beings like them should actually be coming from Moors who allege themselves to be cognate of the estate issues that's operative at Midgard. There's another reason why we're talking about the intuitive mind, because many of these people who should have been telling you these things decades ago and have breached their trust of their positions and then allowed, by certain circumstances, hybrid Europeans to speak things that they should have been speaking. I give credit to those who have been speaking up. However, they're not the direct heirs. I don't condemn them, because their middle class has been dissolved by the dark priesthood, which is why many of them will start speaking up to tell the truth. Where were they before, when they were killing off speakers like Il Malik, like Malcolm, and the 33-degree Mason who tried to make a recompense to his people named Martin Luther King, Michael, yeah. Where were they then? Where were they when they were torturing Emmett Till? Where were they then when they assassinated Noble Drew Ali? Oh, now that the middle class has been dissolved, a lot of people are speaking up, aren't they? I don't condemn them. I appreciate that they're doing some of the work. But all of the motives are not necessarily because some of these people suddenly came to some moral position of comprehension, and now they want to tell the truth about the de facto platform of Kyklos, known as the Democratic Party, distinguished from the implied honor, but not really honor, of the Republican Party, and the distinctions of the Cotton Whigs and the Conscience Whigs, and the overthrow of the Republic that is derived from honor, honesty, confederation principles of fatwa, coming from Muslim law, coming from Saba law, coming from Wudan, coming from the ancient Sabian Moors, the ancient Lemurians, Hittites, Canaanites, and Moabites, the true heirs. How about that? Why don't they talk about that? However, some of the unborn that are now born will be speaking up. I have no doubts of that. However, thanks for helping. Better late than never.
Question. Okay. Can you explain what's going on with Israel and Palestine at this time?
It's an interjection because the dark priest has been dismantled, and it has a lot to do from that of the ethereal plane being expressed on the corporal plane of operations on a smaller scale, kind of like demonstrated with the Kyklos order and the demon platform called the Democratic Party, operatively trying to overthrow the representative for interjection of correction represented by Donald J. Trump to correct a lot of the fallacies that has been taking place since 1861 and the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, with the demonstration of the overthrow of the republic that had to do with the last vestiges of Moorish power at North America, in truth, and setting up bottomly instrumentalities for the theft and the transference of the estates of the true Americans into the hands of the operant members of the British accredited registry on behalf of the fake Queen of England, to be delivered to the Bishopric of Rome under the Unum Sanctum operations and the doctrine of discovery, etc., which is the problems that we're having now. And so what you'll see, the play acting out of them trying to get rid of Trump because he's interfered their operations. In other words, he didn't sell out. He's trying to help fix things. So you need to look at the real history to understand what's going on right now. Politically. Super conscious mind will help you in that area. You won't need to accept what I'm saying. You'll see it for yourself because your third eye will start opening up. Those who are not already on the path, because many of you are already on the path. Matter of fact, many of you are already on the path, or you wouldn't be here with us at the House of Reawakening Minds if that were not so. Also, others who are trolling because they were already aware. They were already aware, truthfully, of the direction that this platform was going into or onto, ascending. So they were already put in place even before we started, because they knew anyway.
The question. From Enigma Scorpio. Can you speak about women fibroids and hysterectomies? I just want to, before you go, I want to say this too. I'm not sure if he's on this on the call, on the chat. He may be, but I'm going to put up the banner for Dr. Botanica. Dr. Botanica wrote a book called Stealing a Woman's Treasure. And he knows, a lot. That's what he wrote about. All of the unnecessary hysterectomies and so forth that have been, performed on women, and largely a lot on our women. There is,
they were the first and main targets. That must be understood. So when you're talking, and in the future, we'll probably, if we can, and you remind me, Dr. Naila, that we want to do some political analysis of the Roe versus Wade colorable legislation, and it's real funky. But the real deal is that uterine fibroids is the natural, for the most part, is the manifest of the monad into the physical form outside of the spark of semen, meaning needing or not activated, or this is where an egg comes from fallopian tube, left or right, in cycled with the moon, in harmony with nature, whereas the womb activates without the help of the male, to generate or to bring life. Sometimes that is referred to as quote unquote the virgin birth. And the uterine fibroid is where, and this has much to do with both the intake of outside forces, i.e., improper food, stressful environment, etc., and other social operations, also state of mind of the woman, etc. Whereas the activation of the champion seed, which that usually what it is, does not complete development and is locked on the wall of the womb. And it would be the Muslim, or what is known as the fetus or the Muslim undeveloped, because Muslim's not a belief system. Remember, it's the fetus. It's the muscles, the tissue, the bone and hair structure of the manifest temple of man, soul of man temple for traveling in the physical plane that attaches to the wall of the uterus and the birth canal and does not fully formulate, but grows a little bit and then stops, having much to do with her energy, mental state, and is usually by virtue of the fact of her state of mind and that the womb is not activated totally divinely, and therefore it does not totally manifest. That's usually the source of the uterine fibroid. However, from the position of the dark priesthood, that is valuable substance, because it is the more pure form of the gateway operations manifest, and that is highly valued for its genetic substance, for real. And so they always try. That's another reason why the dark priesthood always steals the placenta even when babies are manifest through, because that's also important.
That's the birthday
genetics.
cake.
That's the planet also.
Yeah, and the birthday cake.
Yeah, birthday cake, and also because of the genetic material. And of course, they use it to also do genetic studies in eugenics so that they can create both viruses, poisons, toxins, and other weaponized material to attack the real heirs of Midgard to kill off people. That's used in those studies too, as well as still used. Most of the fibroids are used or stays in laboratory form. Some of the aborted babies are more used for the same purposes, but also still for food.
You know, I was thinking about,
and for cosmetics.
I was thinking about where I take Cat and Treasure to the groomer. He has hens, red hens. I brought in some, and they lay eggs without the benefit of a rooster. But then there are some chickens that do have eggs that have been with a rooster, right?
Yeah.
So, but they make these with he has no rooster, and they lay maybe 3 or 4 dozen a week.
That's another thing that they don't want women, the hominidae, to know about themselves. And this is again why the priesthood often would always promote the psychology that the spirit realm has nothing to do with the physical. So just deal with the physical. There's a spirit realm itself. You seek to go there someday rather than recognize Hex Alpha or Ab, which is your pyramid up and your pyramid down in balance, known as Seal of Suleiman, or the emblem of the Moorish nation, which is actually yours, which is actually Saba, etc., and the relationship that that symbol has with the knowledge of the use or the application use of the Ankh or the womb in bringing champions to earth in order to assist humanity with a knowing, as opposed to just from the urge or the sex urge in the cycle of reproduction, which is limited.
I'm going to read this comment from Moorish Alignment in Spirit. Dr. G. Taj, we have to stop giving them credit for being the dark priesthood. They are the light workers, and we are the real dark lords for everything.
Well, the deal of it is everything that came from us, didn't it? Aren't you the mothers and fathers of civilization and the human family? Aren't they a reflection of the lower self? Aren't they the shadow of the lower self? Aren't you responsible? However, the execution of darkness on the earth and the evils on the earth, whether they came from you or not, are being exercised or executed through the hybrids. Deny that. You can't. I'm not accrediting anyone. I'm just telling the politics like it is.
There we are.
Therefore, we must go back to that state of mind of our ancient mothers and fathers, mustn't we? And stop playing victim, mustn't we? Which is also implied, and I appreciate that.
Well, when you talk about playing victim, when you think in terms of everybody,
You know, it's this tradition.
The world is a stage, and everybody's playing the part that a role that you pick for each lifetime. And so sometimes you're the antagonist, other times you're the protagonist. You just forget.
Come here and play the part.
Right. And I love what Mother Kai says. She's like, we're here to play. She said, so don't be so serious, because we're all playing. We're acting.
We're all playing parts.
Right.
But
you need to have knowledge of
but I'm adding this. As humanity ascends, is it not the duty of the adeptus to share the ancient knowledge in a more simple form, that we can go through this journey with less suffering, and thus not creating more karma, so that the people don't have to keep going through these cycles?
Absolutely.
Because the lesson, meaning, at what point are we going to start demonstrating that we're learning our lessons? That's my point.
Like I said, I love this definition of ascension. Is simply the shift in consciousness from duality to oneness. It is the quantum leap from the evolutional spiral of duality to that of oneness. And that's what we're talking about. We are one. So we don't recognize our oneness. So we are like cancer in the body that starts to kill other parts of the body.
So the